In the tense hours following Luna Nozawa's arrest, Forrester Creations' vaulted halls and marble-floored corridors pulsed with unease as Steffi Forrester, still reeling from the shock of Luna's detention, pored over the night vision footage captured by the estate's high-definition security cameras, only to find something far more disturbing than the expected image of a desperate young woman roaming the darkened offices after hours. What flickered on the monitor instead was the unmistakable silhouette of someone who looked exactly like Luna, moving with the predatory deliberateness through the hushed showroom, rifling through files, lingering by the display windows, and vanishing again into the shadows before Steffi or anyone else could confront her. Initially, Steffi's heart lurched with dread that Luna herself, somehow freed, or perhaps staging an escape, had slipped her confinement to stalk the very place she'd been forbidden to approach. But as the footage was replayed frame by frame and magnified for detail, one chilling truth became clear. The intruder was not Luna at all, but Lyra, the twin sister from whom Luna had been cruelly separated at birth and who, for years, had lived in silence and resentment, nursing the wounds of abandonment and vowing vengeance against the family that had welcomed one sister while discarding the other. Lyra's arrival in Los Angeles had gone unnoticed until now, her tracks carefully covered, her identity hidden by the shared features that only a twin could exploit, and in that dimly lit office, surrounded by the silent mannequins dressed in the latest Forrester lines, Steffi realized that every unexplained theft of documents, every misfiled contract, every midnight power outage had been the handiwork not of a random trespasser, but of a sister scorned, Lyra Nozawa, who had infiltrated the Spencer Forrester world to set in motion a vendetta of breathtaking scope. With trembling hands, Steffi froze the video on a still of Lyra lifting a hand to her mouth, as though to stifle a wicked grin, and knew that the stakes had suddenly become far higher than any threat Luna herself could have posed. Elsewhere, Finn, who had argued passionately for Luna's innocence, insisting that she was the victim of Sheila Carter's manipulations and worthy of compassion, not incarceration, was forced to confront the possibility that someone far more dangerous was at work. Someone who had weaponized her sister's face and reputation to sow chaos among the people he loved most. As Finn watched the footage, his normally calm demeanor sharpened into a steely determination. He would drop everything to find Lyra, to understand her motives, and, if possible, to reach the sister he barely knew and show her the love and acceptance she had been denied all her life. But a single, unspoken question, how long had Lyra been hiding in plain sight, hung between them like a guillotine blade? In the Spencer mansion, Bill Spencer received the news with a mixture of fury and paternal protectiveness. The idea that an enemy masquerading as his goddaughter could infiltrate the family's most sacred sanctuaries without detection enraged him, and he immediately ordered private investigators to comb every inch of Los Angeles for Lyra's digital footprint, her financial trails, and any associates who might have helped her stay off the grid. Bill's calls to Wyatt, Hope, and even Katie Logan echoed through the night as he marshaled the Spencer clan into a search party, determined to unmask Lyra before she could deliver the first blow of her campaign to destroy them all. Meanwhile, at the Cliff House, Rich Forrester and Taylor Hayes, still basking in the afterglow of their newly renewed commitment, were blindsided when Steffi arrived at Il Giardino bearing her phone, her eyes wide with fear as she showed her parents the footage. Rich's jaw tightened as he watched Lyra's figure glide between the racks of couture, and Taylor's face drained of color at the sight of Luna's face, twisted by malice rather than fear. "She's using Luna's identity as a weapon," Steffi hissed, "and if we don't stop her, she'll turn all of us against each other." The Forrester patriarch stared at the screen, recalling every moment of kindness he had shown Luna, Every artful compliment he had paid her design ideas, and every time he had trusted her with priceless sketches. Now, each memory was tainted by the terrifying prospect that the woman he had prized might actually have a sister whose only goal was to bring the Forrester empire crashing down. As the family gathered in Ridge and Taylor's private study, the weight of betrayal pressed in on them from every direction. How many times had Lyra slipped through their defenses? How many contracts had been altered, profits siphoned, secrets leaked? And if she could do all that while impersonating Luna, what might she do now with Forrester's sway in her crosshairs? In the depths of police custody, Luna Nozawa faced her own nightmare, detained on suspicion of espionage and harassment, perplexed that her pleas of innocence fell on deaf ears as the evidence stacked against her. Photos and security logs manipulated to match the time frame of her so-called crimes painted her as the prime suspect. When Deputy Bradley Baker visited her cell, Luna's hands shook as she begged him to review the security tapes to see that someone else, someone identical to her, had been trespassing, but Baker, bound by procedure and initially skeptical of a twin narrative that sounded like a desperate alibi, demanded more proof, insisting Luna find a way to identify her doppelganger beyond mere appearance. Back at Forrester Creations, however, Steffi, Finn, Ridge, and Taylor refused to sit passively by. With Bill's investigators closing in on Lyra's last known rental cars, Katie Logan, lending her legal acumen to expedite a search warrant for Lyra's hidden condo, and Wyatt spearheading a social media campaign to root out any sightings of Lyra in local night spots, the combined forces of the Spencer-Forrester alliance mobilized with a single purpose: to expose Lyra and clear Luna's name before the lines between sister and imitator blurred beyond recognition. And as night descended once more over Los Angeles, Lyra Nozawa sat in a loft draped in shadows, surrounded by photographs of the Spencer and Forrester families she had assembled in a twisted collage, images of Luna shaking hands with Ridge, Luna laughing with Steffi, Luna hugging Bill, each one defaced with red circles and angry scrawls that spelled out a single, lurid message: payback is coming. Lyra fingered a syringe filled with an unmarked fluid, her eyes cold as ice, and whispered to herself that the time had come to launch Phase 1 of her vendetta, a staged break-in at Luna's apartment. A leaked report to the tabloids alleging Luna's involvement in corporate sabotage, and a carefully leaked security clip that would show Luna rummaging through Ridge's office safe, only increasing suspicion that Luna and Lyra were the same person. In orchestrating these maneuvers, Lyra planned to ensure that every crime she committed would be blamed on Luna, turning the entire weight of law enforcement, media scrutiny, and family distrust squarely on her sister's shoulders, while Lyra herself remained hidden in plain sight, free to strike again. But as the first whispers of Lyra's plot began to circulate, anonymous tips to the tabloids, encrypted messages to discredit Luna on social media, planted evidence in Luna's locker at her studio. The Spencer-Forrester clan braced for the blow. Finn, his medical ethics torn between helping Luna and protecting his family, worked into the early hours constructing a psychological profile of Lyra based on her stalking patterns, hoping to anticipate her next target. Steffi, haunted by a guilty thought that she might have unknowingly treated Lyra as Luna in a chance encounter at Forrester Creations, pored over guest logs and backstage passes to find any slip that would reveal Lyra's entry point. Ridge and Taylor, determined to shield Luna from a trial that could destroy her life, leaned on their combined influence to push Judge Benson to grant Luna bail, promising that they would provide strict supervision if only Luna could remain free long enough to prove her innocence. And Bill, ever the bulldog, threatened to unleash his legal team and media contacts if the police did not thoroughly investigate the twin angle, ensuring that Lyra would be hunted with as much vigor as Luna. Under the weight of these efforts, Lyra's facade cracked ever so slightly, a careless slip of her left hand in footage intended to mimic Luna's right-handed gesturing. A smudge of lipstick on a lens outside Luna's apartment that bore the wrong shade for Luna's usual palette, tiny flaws that only a vigilant Steffi or a forensic analyst might notice, but potential fatal blows to Lyra's grand design. As dawn approached and Los Angeles stirred awake to another day of glamour and deceit, one question loomed larger than any other. Would Lyra's infiltration succeed in pitting sister against sister, crime against innocence? Or could the combined might of the Spencer and Forrester families expose Lyra's dangerous ruse before irreparable damage was done? In a world where blood ties can be severed by a single misstep, and where the face you trust most may hide the vilest intent, the saga of Luna and Lyra Nozawa reminded everyone that sometimes the greatest threat comes not from an outside enemy, but from the mirror that reflects your own lineage. And in the days ahead, as detectives close in, lawsuits fly, and loyalties fracture, the true test will be whether love and truth can triumph over a vendetta born of abandonment and sharpened by resentment. When the final silhouette of Lyra Nozawa is revealed under the harsh glare of the courthouse lights, will her machinations be laid bare, exonerating Luna and restoring peace to the Spencer Forrester legacy? Or will the confusion between two sisters' faces allow Lyra to vanish once more into the night, leaving behind only shattered relationships and a family forever haunted by the specter of vengeance? Only the coming episodes will tell, but one thing is certain. When twin sisters collide in a war of identity and deceit, no one emerges unscathed, and the fallout will echo through every corner of Los Angeles society for months to come. This week on The Bold and the Beautiful, viewers should note that due to breaking news on Monday, June 23rd, the usual episode was preempted and will now air on Tuesday, June 24th. But rest assured that the drama picking up right where we left off promises more twists and turns than ever before. We begin with the unsettling reemergence of Sheila Sharp at Luna Nozawa's chic Los Angeles apartment, the latest in Sheila's relentless efforts to insert herself into Luna's life. At first, Sheila feigns concern for Luna's welfare, offering to help her pack her things and leave town for her own safety. But Luna, emboldened by new friendships in LA and determined to forge her own path, refuses to abandon the city she now calls home. Sheila pivots, planting seeds of doubt in Luna's mind about her budding relationship with Dr. John Finnegan, insisting Luna stay far away from him lest she risk heartbreak or worse. Luna, still reeling from Sheila's earlier machinations, begins to act on Sheila's subtle urgings in a way that surprises both herself and Sheila. She starts to fixate on Will Spencer, the handsome, daring scion of Spencer Publications, whose casual flirtations have lit a fire within her she did not know she yearned for. Meanwhile, at the Cliff House, Finn and Steffi Forrester, uneasy about Luna's unpredictable behavior, hold a serious discussion with Will and his girlfriend Electra Forrester about beefing up security measures. Luna's presence, they agree, still represents a potential threat to their family's safety and peace of mind. Their conversation is abruptly upended when Deputy Sheriff Bradley Baker arrives on the scene bearing grim news. Despite their best intentions, the Los Angeles Police Department can do little to intervene in Luna's affairs, as no crime has yet been committed and Luna's every action remains technically legal. The prospect of a looming threat with no legal recourse unsettles everyone, but it is this very predicament that sparks a daring plan in Will's mind. After receiving yet another coquettish text from Luna, delightfully coy, promising something more under the guise of showing him her new tattoo, Will resolves to take matters into his own hands. He confides in Elektra that he intends to set a trap by secretly planting a listening device in Luna's apartment, hoping to capture her plotting against Steffi and thereby provide indisputable proof that she cannot be allowed to roam free. Despite the obvious risks, betraying Luna's trust, provoking Sheila's wrath, and possibly endangering himself, Will steels himself, believing that preventing harm to Steffi, the woman he respects more than any other, is worth the gamble. He texts Luna a feigned breakup message, declaring that he has ended things with Elektra, all to convince Luna he is single and interested in visiting her and, more specifically, seeing that rumored tattoo in person. Luna, ecstatic at the idea of Will's undivided attention, rushes to update Sheila on her good fortune, gushing that her plan to win Will over is working perfectly. Confident that Will soon be in her apartment, Luna shares her address, unknowingly handing over the key to her own undoing. Back at the Cliff House, Deputy Baker uses Luna's address to secure the necessary surveillance warrants and coordinate a covert stakeout, setting the stage for the moment when the truth about Luna's schemes will be laid bare. Elsewhere, in the halls of Forrester Creations, Katie Logan doesn't miss a beat. She senses that her sister Brooke Logan's thoughts have drifted to the recent return of Nick Marone. Though Nick's swagger and well-timed charms could tempt any woman, Brooke, who weathered Nick's departure and the subsequent heartbreak, insists that her heart remains steadfastly with Ridge Forrester, the man she long ago vowed to spend her life with. Katie, protective and pragmatic, warns Brooke that once passion re-enters the picture, logic often takes flight, but Brooke remains resolute, quietly hoping Ridge's wavering affections will right themselves in her favor. At the elegant Il Giardino restaurant, Taylor Hayes, reeling from her own fears and insecurities, summons Ridge to a private conversation about the uncertain future of their marriage. Ridge, whose every instinct has been jolted by the news that Nick Marone is back in town and possibly charming Brooke, senses the undercurrent of jealousy in Taylor's voice and gently questions whether her unease is simply a reaction to Nick's presence. Taylor, eyes aflame with both love and desperation, shifts the focus to their own story, reminding Ridge that they have already overcome so much together and asking where his commitment truly lies. In a moment charged with vulnerability and hope, Taylor reveals that she envisions them renewing their vows and building a life free from past betrayals. Without hesitation, she reaches into her purse, produces a small velvet box, and on bended knee asks Ridge to marry her all over again. An act of faith born from love and the wish to erase old wounds. Unbeknownst to Taylor and Ridge, nearby Nick Marone, having slipped into a discreet booth with his phone in hand, records the entire proposal. As Ridge, stunned at first, then overwhelmed with emotion, accepts Taylor's ring and confirms that he too cannot wait to step back into wedded bliss, Nick's sharpened wits begin to whirl with the implications. By weekend's end, Nick vows to bring this news to Brooke himself. Imagining the look on her face when she learns that Ridge has chosen Taylor once more and sets in motion yet another wave of turmoil for the Logan and Forrester clans. Between Luna's hidden threats and Will's bold countermeasures, Katie's suspicions and Brooke's lingering loyalty, Taylor's impassioned proposal and Ridge's ultimate response, the coming days on the bold and the beautiful will be a masterclass in tension, intrigue, and heartache. As undercover microphones, battered emotions, and secret recordings collide, one thing is certain: when the next chapter unfolds, no secret will remain buried, no promise will go untested. And the true cost of love in Los Angeles will be revealed in all its breathtaking, agonizing detail.